The legal world keeps churning. First up, closing arguments in the James Crumbley trial. The day did start with quick testimony from a previous witness, and then the state rested their case. The defense called one witness, Karen Crumbley, who was the sister of James. She talked about how Ethan and Jennifer visited her in the middle of 2021, and she was asked if she knew that the Crumbleys had guns in their house, and she said yes. But she said that James had never told her that he was worried about Ethan. The next thing that came up was that James would not testify in his own defense in the trial. After a break, we heard the closing arguments in the trial. The state's argument pointed out that the gun used by Ethan was secured by a lock that did not change from the original code. They talked about how the parents came to the counselor's office the day of the shooting and that they never told the school about purchasing a gun for Ethan. They emphasized that when they heard about the school shooting, the parents knew that Ethan was involved, which meant that Ethan's shooting was foreseeable. It was then the defense's turn, and the thing that they stressed the most was that there was no evidence that James knew beforehand that Ethan would do what he did. They emphasized that James never saw the journal that Ethan wrote in. Everything seemed normal on the day of the shooting, and that even the school counselor and the dean of students, who had more experience with the teenagers, did not see an immediate problem with what was going to happen. After the closing arguments, the judge went over the jury instructions. This was for 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. In Michigan, a parent of a minor can be responsible if their child harms another individual. However, they must act in a grossly negligent way, in a way that is foreseeable. This is what the jury will have to decide after about 90 minutes of deliberations. The jury said that they were retiring for the day and going to go home and resume in the morning. We await tomorrow. In the Bryan Kohberger case, the Supreme Court of Idaho issued a 1-page ruling on an appeal that Bryan's lawyers had brought to them. And to the layperson who doesn't have all the legal understanding, it was a little bit confusing. Bryan's appeal to the Idaho Supreme Court had several parts. First, they wanted to seal the motions and the arguments. And second, it wanted the Idaho Supreme Court to hear an appeal about the grand jury and whether they or not they followed the correct procedures in indicting Bryan. The grand jury is an investigatory body that investigates whether or not there was enough evidence against an individual or individuals to bring charges in the process before going to trial. It's a more relaxed process than in a trial in regards to witnesses and evidence. And the grand jury in Bryan's case said there was enough evidence to charge him with the murders and other crimes. But Bryan's attorneys first argued before the trial court that the grand jury had screwed up and Bryan should never have been indicted. The trial judge denied this request, and Bryan's attorneys appealed to the Idaho Supreme Court. Today's order denied the appeal that the grand jury screwed up. However, it did allow for the motion that sealed some of the procedures. So if you have more information, please put them in the comments below. It took less than a month for the Idaho Supreme Court to issue the order. They did not want to slow down the trial. Bryan has had several motions that ahead, including issues whether the trial should have a change of venue or juries brought in from a different area. There will also be deadlines set for discovery. Right now, the prediction is a summer of 2025 trial. Also in the news yesterday was Scott Peterson. The LA Innocence Project took up his case recently, and they are trying to get back into court to move ahead with some DNA testing and the introduction of witnesses who the defense didn't know about at the original trial. The Innocence Project wants to test some blood found in a van near the Petersons' home. They also want to run DNA tests on a hammer. If Lacey's DNA is found on these items, It would raise some doubt because her DNA should not be found there. Once I get more information about what is going on with you, I will let you know. This has been an update episode. If I miss anything you feel is important, please leave it in the comments below. If there is a case you want me to look at, please also let me know in the comments. Please have a safe and good evening and stay warm if you are in one of the areas that is going to get snow.